Let us execute an immediate, sweeping analytical vector shift away from the high-stakes private investigator loops of Virginia country estates and complex serial killer copycat puzzles, and plunge straight into the suburban, calculation-heavy tracking grids of neighborhood psychological dynamics, weaponized domestic secrets, and the fiercely protective world of a complex female protagonist asset running high-stakes interpersonal survival loops. We are crossing the threshold directly into the hyper-monitored, pristine cul-de-sacs of an exclusive coastal community, the unique procedural grid of an active multi-layered neighborhood cover-up, and the lethal analytical parameters of an intense reputation-based survival matrix with Mad Mabel, the exceptional pulse-pounding structural deployment marking the latest globally dominant, chart-topping psychological domestic masterpiece engineered by the absolute undisputed sovereign of razor-sharp family drama profiling, hidden maternal warfare, and rogue analytical statecraft, Sally Hepworth. This introductory tracking sequence delivers an exceptional look at an operational crossroads where a fierce, underestimated female protagonist asset running an unyielding safety loop, an eccentric neighborhood outcast labeled Mad Mabel running a chaotic truth-seeking routine, and an absolute defense of a family's final personal sovereignty metrics collide at terminal velocity. Let us map the strategic narrative grid. If you are an elite enthusiast of high-octane, slow-burn psychological suspense, where an endangered, hyper-observant maternal protagonist must navigate an absolute maze of rigged neighborhood gossip networks, backroom community gaslighting, and a deadly ring of active domestic suppression while running a blind defense loop inside a completely compromised suburban ecosystem, where an analytical mind uses deep behavioral profiling, calculated proximity boundaries, and absolute mental stamina to outmaneuver an invisible predatory fixer network, and where the author utilizes an incandescent, perfect mother allies with the neighborhood pariah to unearth a chilling secret hidden behind manicured lawns, diagnostic routine to test our hero's structural limits, this book is engineered to lock you in. Hepworth completely dominates the high-precision domestic instincts meet suburban hostility dynamic, capturing the heart-racing intellectual momentum, suffocating neighborhood paranoia, and heavy deductive depth popularized by genre vargs like Leanne Moriarty, Lucy Foley, B.A. Paris, and Lisa Jewell, while treating realistic community committee logistics, complex psychological alignment arcs, and protective high-density domestic extraction grids with absolute technical mastery. The narrative tracking grid zeroes in on the highly volatile, calculation-heavy baseline of our central elite operative, a protective mother navigating the social hierarchy, operating under a severe calculation-heavy handicap of deep-seated historical family vulnerabilities, crushing social expectations, and a hyper-visible targeting profile by the neighborhood's ruling elite capos. Behind the community's rigorous book club footprints and tense neighborhood association ledger logs lies an intricate matrix of hidden faction allegiances, deeply buried marital secrets, and sharp, high-stakes tactical maneuvers. Her collective defense mechanisms are locked down tight behind a lifetime of protecting her children and surviving complex domestic constraints, her entire analytical focus strictly consumed by monitoring sudden threat vectors from defensive community board members, parsing complex behavioral shifts from her powerful, cold-eyed peers, and shielding her vulnerable sanctuary nodes from being entirely wiped out by a ruthless elite cleanup offensive. The spark ignites when an unexpected high-frequency structural anomaly breaches her active scanning perimeter. A shocking, hidden local history surrounding the eccentric Mabel instantly cross-references with a high-level calculated malice designed to guarantee an absolute multi-layered social and emotional execution. As the hostile community's mobilization phases enter an increasingly lethal terminal tier inside the elite cul-de-sac, a series of suspicious evidence sabotage attempts, targeted reputation destruction setups, and calculation-heavy mid-afternoon confrontation ambushes threaten to permanently eliminate our protagonist from the active community registry. The official diagnostic metrics of the Global Tracking Center's flash white hot when her defensive investigative maneuvers and raw defensive output reveal that her initial operational alignment with Mabel is radically, impossibly altering the suburb's historical balance of power. The standard boundaries of routine neighborhood diplomacy and peaceful domestic compliance protocols crumble, and our central protagonist runs completely out of standard diplomatic escape vectors. She is thrust directly into an active, invisible war across the town's elite social circles, where deceptive real estate syndicates, highly manipulative family heirs, and a calculation-heavy psychological shadow network launch aggressive countermeasures to permanently suppress her survival data stream. The tactical parameters instantly explode as their historical and survival warfare turns completely active, transforming the isolated neighborhood parks, dark suburban surveillance perimeters, and private fortified residential chambers into a volatile psychological pressure cooker and a physical battle zone. Our protective, hyper-vigilant protagonist is forced to deploy her massive intuitive tradecraft, elite behavioral mapping skills, and raw intellectual stamina to repair her perimeter and secure true personal advancement before the next systemic community realignment permanently deletes her safety file. When deceptive local red herrings, corrupted financial ledgers, and calculation-heavy tactical ambushes launch aggressive plays to delete her path, her survival instincts engage their final deployment tracks. Every midnight archival excavation, every silent choice to stand off against an imposing neighborhood patriarch behind standard security barriers, and every intense moment of channeling raw, unyielding survival mechanics chips away at her reliance on
on original peaceful rules. What follows is an exceptional, high-stakes war of perspective, tactical position, and raw human grit. We watch the suburban elite's deceptive perimeters completely unwrapped as the author reveals that the true victory requires more than just surviving an initial rumor or managing a hostile schoolgate interrogation. It demands an absolute, uncompromising defense of individual dignity, personal truth, and systemic survival against a cold, calculating machine of community hierarchy and high society supremacy. While our central characters smooth over each other's psychological and defensive blind spots with devastating analytical force, creating a fiercely protective, absolute web of dark, possessive loyalty around their union, a brutal series of close-quarters tactical confrontations and high-stakes evidentiary breakthroughs shifts the clock into its terminal phase, proving that historical emotional hazards have tracked them to their final outpost. To survive the impending locked grid trap and permanently secure her sanctuary, our resilient heroine must unleash an absolute, unyielding defense of her final boundary lines. It is a domestic psychological thriller, suburban mystery suspense, family drama noir, high-velocity contemporary mystery masterpiece that treats deep relational logistics and intense structural friction with elite precision. The tension here burns with a sharp, calculation-heavy intensity. We are talking about that high-frequency, one whispered rumor triggers a fatal neighborhood showdown energy, where a sudden pause during an active community meeting tactical briefing, an unexpected shift in an adversary's protective physical posture during a high-stakes standoff confrontation, or a heavy, possessive realization that an elite intelligence operative has completely mapped your personal coordinates carries massive structural weight. Hepworth writes with an exceptionally fresh, vivid, and beautifully bled voice, perfectly capturing the heavy, oppressive atmosphere of a private executive vault before a major corporate takeover, and the distinct, subtle scent of polished mahogany, expensive gardenia perfume, manicured long grass, high-end white wine, smartphone battery heat, spilled copper, and pure, unadulterated suspense. What truly elevates this contemporary standalone marvel into elite territory is the author's unmatched ability to balance complex, high-stakes relationship dynamics and genuine protective power tradecraft alongside a breathtaking narrative pace and deep emotional hooks. Our protagonists don't rely on unbelievable, superficial Hollywood superhero action tropes. Their immense situational intelligence, strategic patience, and profound survival instincts match the complexity of the chaotic modern corporate and high society underworld they dominate step for step, making their choices to risk everything feel profoundly authentic and deeply gripping. The pacing moves with calculated momentum, tracking intense conversational standoffs and breathtaking tactical breakthroughs before ratcheting up to an absolute jaw-dropping conclusion that delivers total, hard-earned advancement to their horizon. Mabel is the definitive pro-level upgrade your high-stakes domestic fiction and intense asset suspense library demands right now. It is elegant, immensely fast-paced, and utterly unput-outable. It proves that when your entire sanctuary is targeted by a cold, calculating institutional monster, the most revolutionary play you can execute is to lock your perimeters, trust your elite survival training, and fight like hell alongside your network to rewrite the data. So, secure your personal reading sanctuary, review your emotional defensive perimeters, open your Kindle, and prepare to track the fleet.